E3 2015. Truly a wonderful time of year for all gamers, what with the copious amount of new announcements. Some good, some bad, and some ugh. And that's why I'm here today. I want to count down what I think at least are the top 10 best games at E3 2015. Number 10. Star Wars Battlefront. If you guys follow my channel, you'll know I've never actually properly sat down and watched the Star Wars films, because over the course of my life, the entire world has systematically been spoiling every single scene that happens in every single film. So I am far, far, far from the target audience of this game. But despite that, I think what they showed at E3 looks really, really good. It almost looks like Battlefield, but with a Star Wars skin over top of it. But that does not necessarily make it bad. However, I do remember there being quite a bit of controversy about this game a few months back, and while I am still far from being sold on buying it, they did manage to get my interest to go from no interest at all to, I'll keep an eye on that, so take that for whatever it's worth. Number 9. Sea of Thieves. Don't get me wrong here, I would much rather be working on Banjo 3E or Conker's Bad Fur Day 2, but if we disregard what studio is making the game, Sea of Thieves looks pretty awesome. So it's Guns of Icarus combined with Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and if that idea does not sound amazing to you, then call for a doctor because you are clearly dead. Also, that might be some of the best looking water I've ever seen in a video game ever. And despite them saying it's an Xbone exclusive, you can see almost being hidden from the audience at the end of the trailer that it is also coming to PC, so that's good. Overall, sounds like a ton of fun, and I cannot wait to annoy all my friends by endlessly quoting Jack Sparrow. Number 8. The Last Guardian. After years in development hell, this game finally sees the light of day. In the past, we've seen things like Duke Nukem Forever show us that while it is sometimes better to let dead franchises fly, what they showed off of the game looks pretty impressive. Now, of course, Shadow of the Colossus is my second favorite game, so there's a bit of bias there to be sure, but what we saw looked pretty good. And although I'm not sure exactly how excited I'll be when it comes out, considering this game looks more like Ico than Shadow of the Colossus, regardless, I will keep my eye on it and my mind open. Number 7. Final Fantasy VII. Haha, see what I did there. Unfortunately, I'm actually a filthy liar. Final Fantasy VII isn't actually on this list because the only Final Fantasy game I've ever played was 13 for about 3 hours before getting bored, so I have zero investment in the series whatsoever. The actual number 7 spot is the kids game, chosen specifically to annoy the Final Fantasy fans writing death threats to me in the comments at this very moment. LEGO Dimensions to be specific, and LEGO Dimensions Portal Edition to be even more specific. That's right, the Aperture Science Computer Aided Enrichment Center is now one of the universes you can visit in this game, so that makes it an insta-buy for me. And one of the things I really appreciate is that they actually did get Ellen McLean and Stephen Merchant in to do all new lines rather than sound-alikes. And although we can be fairly certain they didn't bring in the Portal writers as well, they did manage to capture the feeling of the characters well enough. That first line from GLaDOS, for example, "I'd say it's nice to meet you, but it's not nice to lie," is very fitting, even though I do have some problems with the other things she says. Like, for example, when GLaDOS straight up admits to Batman that they have cake. I feel an opportunity was missed to have her reply with something along the lines of, I don't actually know. No one seems to know for sure if we have cake at this point. You know, not that exactly, but something along the lines playing up the fact that the cake may or not be there. It may not be a lie, right? And also, I think the other line about her missing Chell isn't something she'd ever actually say out loud, even to just herself. Regardless, the existence of Portal within any franchise makes it an automatic buy for me. And, dear LEGO Company, I will gladly pay upwards of $100 for a GLaDOS LEGO set. Maybe even more if need be, just please let me buy one. Number 6. Doom 4. Okay, so Doom is not a franchise I grew up with like it was for a lot of older gamers, but despite never having played a Doom game until now, I'm surprised by how interested I am in Doom 4. And that is despite the audience being annoying as shit throughout the entire demo. Oh my god, that is a monster getting hit with a shotgun. I have never seen that before in the history of video games. Whoa! That was like every 3 seconds. Oh my god, it was awful. But despite the audience being annoying, the graphics look amazing. I'm told this is the first AAA game being made in DirectX 12, and if that's true, it really does show. Also, the game has gore levels on par with something like Bulletstorm or The Darkness 2, which is always a good indicator that you're in for a ton of fun. And of course, that ending shot where he pulled out the BFG was pretty badass. Number 5. Dishonored II. Obviously, I'm hyped for this one. I love the first Dishonored game, and I'm certain I'll enjoy this one even more if they pull it off correctly. One of the things that really makes me excited for it is how the steampunk setting of the game has evolved since the time of the original, and you're seeing a lot more technologically advanced creations, like those robots that can cut arrows in half. Also, Emily, the frightened young girl from the first game, now the protagonist, all grown up, and going around being a badass using the Outsider's powers. Sign me up for that. Number 4. Cuphead. I feel like Cuphead was a surprise for most people at E3 this year. I mean, here we have this little indie game that practically no one has heard of prior, suddenly coming out of nowhere and becomes the talk of the town. I think you could make a reasonable argument even that this game is the game that left the most impression on anyone during the entire Microsoft conference. And for good reason. It looks amazing. Gameplay-wise, I doubt it will be anything special. It looks like Shovel Knight with bullet hell sections. But art-wise, damn is this game pretty. It's stylized to look like a really old cartoon, and man does it pull that style off in spades. Apparently the entire game's art is created with traditional cell animation that's been hand-drawn and inked, and that makes the sheer attention to detail being employed in every frame even more incredible. I didn't know this game existed before the E3 conference, but it is on my radar now without question. Number 3. South Park: The Fractured Butthole. Guys, I am so excited that Trey and Matt decided to make another South Park game after The Stick of Truth. I am a huge fan of the show, and I loved Stick of Truth, so I am pretty hyped for The Fractured Butthole. I love the twist they did halfway through the trailer where they revealed it was going to be about superheroes this time as opposed to D&D, and I am all for that. Kenny has long been my favorite South Park character ever since the Poor Kid episode, so as long as I get to interact with him as Mysterion in some way, I am sold. Also, guys, Butters as Professor Chaos is the villain. That just sounds amazing. The only thing that slightly worries me about this is that Ubisoft San Francisco is making it this time as opposed to Obsidian. But while they've never made anything of consequence to me personally, as long as Trey and Matt are overseeing the whole thing, I'm not too worried. Overall, I cannot wait for this one, and it will be the only thing with Ubisoft's logo on it that I'll be willing to pick up anytime soon. Number 2. Horizon Zero Dawn. This one was a huge surprise for me. The trailer starts off with some generic scenery porn, and a very generic "humans ruined everything because we suck so much" narration that I think has only been done 1 or 2 billion times by now. But the gameplay starts and bam! Giant robot dinosaurs out of nowhere, and they look awesome! Very animalistic, and what draws me in straight away is, aside from just how damn pretty the graphics look, it's very clear how the robot's group dynamic works. The main party has scouts they send out to secure the area, and then the robots on 2 legs move in and begin eating stuff and turning it into something valuable, energy maybe. And they travel in herds along with the giant robots for protection, which is why the main character from Brave here has to hunt them to get whatever's in the pods. And they establish all of that with only visuals and a few lines of dialogue. Then, a fucking Imperial Star Destroyer on legs comes in, and the game suddenly turns into Dark Souls with a better archery system. A very badass fight ensues, ending with the main character taking the giant robot down. And all of that leaves me very impressed with the game and wanting to know more about the world. I think the first bit of the trailer does the game a major injustice by boring the audience, but what follows I think more than makes up for it, and the game is now definitely on my radar. Number 1. Fallout 4. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this was most people's favorite this year, and it's mine as well. I'm of the opinion that the annual argument of who won E3 is a stupid and pointless one, but if I were to engage in it momentarily, then Bethesda would be the one that I would give the award to. They showed copious amounts of gameplay footage from Fallout 4, and it all looks great. And let me just go over some of the stuff that impressed me. Firstly, the protagonist has a voice now. Highly controversial, I'm aware, but I love the idea, and if you don't, I guarantee you day one there'll be a mod that changes it. Number 2, they removed the godforsaken green screen filter and the game actually has color now. Thank God for that. Number 3, the faces look amazing. This is the first Bethesda game to have good-looking, high-quality facial expressions and animations, and man does it look nice. Number 4. The fact that Cogsworth can say almost 1,000 names. It's a really small detail, I know, but it's so cool! And I'm curious if this ability will extend to other story characters. I mean, it'd be a shit ton of extra work, but man would that be impressive. Number 5. The infinite amount of gun customization. Number 6. Doggy! Number 7. House building looks amazing. Although I do have potential concerns, what with the carry weight of your protagonist slowing the process down significantly. Number 8. Doggy House! Number 9. Fallout Shelter, the new app, looks really cool. Number 10. The best fucking marketing gimmick I have ever seen in my entire life. Seriously, including a Pip-Boy in every collector's edition is brilliant! Fucking genius! Now I, and God knows how many other people, are going to pay double the price of the game just for that. Number 11. It's releasing in just a few months. The only thing I wish they would have done more of was talk about providing more tools to modders, because that's what's going to keep the gaming community alive long after the game's released. I mean, I know they'll allow mods and whatnot, but I would love a cursory mention of them being devoted to helping modders create the best content they can, or something like that. Because, I mean, take all the badass things I just mentioned, and imagine how much better mods can make all of it. But regardless, I am super excited for what the future holds for the franchise, and I know I'm absolutely frothing at the mouth to get my hands on it. And that's why Fallout 4 stole E3 from me.